Hello. Right, this is very primitive camera work here. I've literally got my phone balanced on my dashboard, so I can't go over speed bumps too wildly, and I can't accelerate. But I just thought I would make a little video whilst I'm on my way, because it's a bit of an exciting trip out today. Not as exciting as it could be, but still I get excited by small things. It's also really warm, and if I open my windows, I think it's going to be a bit noisy, so I'm only going to be able to talk for so long before I melt. So yes, I'm basically on my way today to go and see two livery yards. So I suppose I ought to go backtrack a bit. Basically, I used to have my own horse. I started off with a lovely big cob mare. Ooh, nearly lost the phone then. When I was 7, who was a rescue horse from Ada Cole, and oh, she was absolutely wonderful big girl. And yeah, I think we'd only been looking after her for about 4 years when she, maybe not even that, maybe more like 3 years, when she developed cancer. She had a huge tumour in her trachea, and yeah, we had her up at Rossdale's in Newmarket, but you know, it was one of those things where we could have either put her through loads of chemotherapy or sent her on her way. And yeah, so we thought chemo was a bit cruel. She wouldn't really understand it, so sadly we lost her. And then I was given a young, not young, I think he was probably about 15 when I got him, but a thoroughbred mix with, I think, New Forest. Yeah, it was an Irish horse, brilliant hunter, and I had loads and loads of fun on him. And then when I went off to university, I was very lucky in that, because he'd come from the master of a hunt, and they were able to take him back and put him into retirement on their fields. So I was very, very lucky with that. And then whilst I was at university, I accidentally fell pregnant with my oldest son, and horses went completely out the window. I don't advise any new mum to do this, but I basically just gave up myself and was like, right, what do I need to do? What do I need to do to be a good mum? And just sort of forgot about everything that I loved and I did, which is a really stupid idea. I shouldn't have done that. Don't anybody do that. You obviously have to sacrifice, but you don't need to sacrifice everything. Anyway, so I've spent the last 20 years completely horseless, and I've always kind of said, oh, I don't want to go for a riding lesson because I want to just be able to go and ride a horse. But then last year my dad was like, let me get you, we found a place where I could go out for a hack rather than have a specific, you know, riding lesson. And so it was like, get yourself back on a horse, let it be my birthday present to you. Anyway, he opened a proper can of worms, because suddenly I was like, oh my god, why have I not had a horse in my life for the last 20 years? What have I been doing? I just literally have just been like, yeah, I've bbeen riding at this riding school for about 3/4 of a year now, and oh my god, I just love it. Like, I feel like when you've had a horse for a long time in your life, it just becomes part of you, and I feel like I've regained like a lost limb or something. So yeah, it's definitely on my plans to get a horse, and I would like to live out my childhood dream of getting a unbroken 3-year-old and backing it and producing it myself, which is probably a bit of a wild ambition, because although I've helped with this that process in the past, a very long time ago, like in the 90s. Yeah, I feel like I can do it. I feel fairly confident. And you know, I can always ask for help along the way. So that's my plan. But then it's a bit of a long story, but my mum is pretty crazy when it comes to animals. She's very, very sensible in every other aspect of life, but she's pretty crazy when it comes to animals. And I had said to her, I don't know, probably a couple of months ago now, I just told her this tale about how I had found this horse online, probably end of last year, and I'd fallen in love with it, but knew that I couldn't get a horse at that time. So I just kept checking this advert in the hopes that something might happen that meant I could just go and buy her. She was an Irish horse. Oh, got an ambulance beside me. Yeah, let's join. Just pull over, let this ambulance go past. Yes, so I had been keeping my eye on this horse. Beautiful little filly. But she had been first advertised June last year as a 3-year-old, and so as time went on, I was thinking, oh, she's getting closer and closer to 4. I bet her current owners will have started the process of backing her and getting her ridden away. If not, actually started to put her into work. Anyway, I told my mum about this probably a couple of months ago, because at this point her advert had disappeared from 2 of the websites that it had been on, and so I thought it was safe to tell my mum, because like I said, she's pretty mad when it comes to animals. So I told her, how I'd seen this horse, but unfortunately it wasn't meant to be, because she must have been either sold or withdrawn from sale, because her advert's disappeared. I was like, but she is still on the Irish Sports Horse Dealers website. So my mum was like, right, contact them. She was like, find out, whether she is actually for sale or not. Yeah, in her madness, she was like, sometimes, when you just have that gut feeling, you have to jump at these things. So anyway, I contacted the sports horse dealer, and it was exactly as I had thought, that she was now 4, and they decided to take her off the market, not sell her, and put her into work. So yeah, the seller now wanted like triple the money for her, so that was a no-go. However, the dealer said, what are you looking for, because I can keep an eye out. So I kind of described to her like my most perfect horse, i.e. an ideal eventer that's got just the right combination of blood and thoroughbred. Yeah, it's a horse that's going to have good paces for dressage, be able to jump well for the show jumping in the cross country, and have speed for the cross country. Literally, the perfect recipe. That's what I basically asked her for. And I thought and I said to her, but I'm in absolutely no rush. I'm not actually ready to buy a horse right now. So just over the next year, if you see anything, let me know. Thinking to myself, like, I've described her the most perfect horse. She's, it's not, horses like that don't come up very often. Also within my budget. Anyway, blow me down. A couple of weeks later, she sends me this horse that literally has got such brilliant breeding, is in my price range, and looks lovely. And I feel like it's too good to be true, and I'm still waiting on videos of this horse. I've been waiting about 3 weeks now, so maybe it is too good to be true. Maybe this seller is going to realise what a lovely horse he has and change his mind about selling it. I don't know, but given that we've kind of said, like, if this horse, we see videos of this horse and she moves really well, then we need to go to Ireland, we need to meet her, and if I vibes with her, then we'll go for it, because yeah, and obviously passes x-rays and vetting and all of that, then we'd go for it, even though it's a bit soon. So anyway, I've been going round, looking at livery yards. I've looked at 1 livery yard so far, and I'm looking at 2 more today, because I am on the East London Essex border, So it's not like how I thought it would be with livery yards. Yeah, my last experience of livery yards was Suffolk, where there were loads of them around, and I realised that I was incredibly lucky with the yard that I was at, because it was really just really friendly, really down to earth, nothing posh and fancy, but it was massive. There was the grazing was spectacular, and we had a cross country course. It was very basic, but we still had a little cross country course. We had a show jumping arena, we had a sand school, we had a lunging paddock. Yeah, we were just generally very, very lucky, and the hacking was amazing. So yeah, I kind of went into looking at livery yards around here with the same expectation, and then quickly realised, no, actually there's not as much space as there, because it's right on the outskirts of London, and there's loads and loads of people, and land is very expensive. So I found the first yard I found, which looked from the outside spectacular, but I went to look at it last week or the week before, and oh my god, the guy that runs it is just like massively obsessed with neatness and organisation, and to be honest, I could live with that, and I'm certainly not a messy person, and I feel like everybody should just be respectful and keep things tidy, and but this was extreme. It was like, muddy horses aren't allowed on the yard. Like, they have to be washed down in a certain area outside of the yard before they walk onto the yard. Yeah, there was just loads. Anyway, but the main thing, the number one thing for me, was there was not enough grazing, and the stables were too small. Yeah, I've realised that's the most important thing to me, is that there is enough grazing so that they can have decent grazing time all year round and be left out over all 24 hours a day during the dry seasons, and that that their stables are spacious and airy, and they're comfortable when they are in their stables. So this yard did not tick either of those boxes, so it was straight away a no-no. And then the more I thought about it as well, I thought, if I'm getting a 3-year-old, we're not going to be doing huge amounts of work in the first sort of year to 2 years of her life, or his life. See, I'm already thinking of it as this filly. And really the most important thing for me is that whichever horse I get can spend as much time out in the field, so that whilst they're continuing to grow, they're moving naturally, and are gonna be able to grow as fit and strong as possible. So I've managed to find a yard that I think fits that. It's just 10 stables, and it looks like there's lots of grazing. I'm going to see that this afternoon. But at the moment, I'm on my way to a yard that is also a riding school, and looks like it's got really good facilities. It looks really nice. All in all, it looks really nice. It looks like they've got a good amount of grazing, although it was quite hard to see. But sort of where they're located on the map, I think should have a decent amount of grazing. But anyway, it's quite expensive. In fact, it's the most expensive of all the yards that I found. But I'm sort of thinking of it more in the future. I'm thinking that once he or she is a bit older, and I am wanting to do more, it basically just be good to have cross-country jumps and show jumps around. Although the earlier one can introduce those sorts of things, the better. But so my thinking is just really, at the moment, I'm just kind of getting an idea of what is around. Unfortunately, I found another yard which really reminded me of my old yard in Suffolk, which is very close to the one I'm just about to look at. It's literally around the corner, but they're full, and probably because they're very reasonably priced and sound really nice. Yeah, very popular. But what I'm hoping is that maybe if I could, if we were to be purchasing the horse in the nearish future, that I could go to this quite sort of simple yard that I'm looking at after this one, and then move him or her to sort of get on the waiting list or whatever I need to do, and yeah, hopefully a space might come up over the next year at this other place. So yeah, all just exciting things to look at, and yeah, I will come back and let you know what the first or the second yard in total, but the first yard of today is like. Right, I am back. I'm just leaving livery yard number 1. Very nice livery yard. Really nice girl that showed me around, very chill. They're having loads of work done because it was bought by a new owner, not last year, the year before. But yeah, really lovely vibe. Definitely somewhere to consider for the future. Although limited turnout again. They've got 60 horses. And yeah, but I think I'm going to find this is going to be a problem. I'm really hoping that the next place I go to has got better grazing. Yeah, fingers crossed, because otherwise I'm not really sure what to do other than to move house. And I can't quite do that yet. Need to wait for Marcel to finish secondary school before I can venture out back to the countryside. But yeah, but really nice, and definitely something to think about for the future. Yeah, and possibly just a good place to know about, like, yeah, just going and helping out. I don't know, but anyway, I am gonna go now to Naylor's. I have never been to Naylor's. I think when I was younger there weren't really any like equestrian superstores, but yeah, and I don't know how to get there from here, so I'm going to need to use my map. But yeah, I'll see you on the other side. Right, I have just left Naylor's, which very disappointing really. So it's a Naylor's in Go Outdoors, which as an outdoor shop was epic, like anything you could possibly want ever for being outside, in terms of camping, fishing and all of that sort of thing. They've got the most incredible stock of stuff, but the actual Naylor section was very small, didn't have much. I need to go here, but I did get myself a nice Shire's purple riding crop and some treats. Yeah, I was hoping to get a schooling whip, but they didn't have any schooling whips, any lunge whips. Yes, if anybody can advise me, where can I go that's a horsey heaven type shop with everything you could possibly ever want, yeah, in this sort of, yeah, Essex, East London border? I would love to know. I think one has to stick to online. But yeah, I want to get Marcel some riding boots and breeches for his birthday next month. So I was hoping they might have a bit of a range there and I could go along with him to have a look. Because I think it's quite hard when you've never bought horsey stuff before. Yeah, to like know. Yeah, it'd be good for him to be able to try some stuff on. Anyway, such is life. On to the next livery yard. Right, I'm back again on a very windy, windy Epping Forest road. But hopefully the camera won't fall down. Anyway, been to see livery number 2, and definitely my favourite so far. Mainly just because she's clearly got plenty of grazing for the number of horses she's got. Doesn't allow 24-hour turnout over summer, which isn't the end of the world, because she says it's sort of dawn till dusk turnout. So yeah, they would obviously be able to stay out till quite late during the summer. But yeah, nice size stables, and yeah, plenty of grazing. Very, very primitive, but exactly like, yeah, what I feel like I need to start with. Yeah, just something very, very chill. And like I said, I can get my name down if there is a waiting list for the other stable yard that is quite basic but also has good facilities. But yeah, I really like the lady. She's very old school. She's an ex-show jumper, but not a poncy one. Sorry to all the show jumpers out there. Yeah, I think it's more older show jumpers. Some of the older show jumpers that are a bit like. But yes, so I'm very pleased. I feel like that is the place. Like, if I'm going to get a horse in the near future, that is where I would want he or she to be. However, on my drive there, I passed another yard that I cannot find online. So I think it might be a drive, just drive along and say hello jobby. Yeah, I need to locate it on the map again. But yeah, so there's another option, like literally just around the corner. So exciting to see all these places. And yeah, learning sort of little bits of information about hay suppliers and tack shops, because yeah, she just told me the name of a tack shop and I can't remember what it was called now. Damn it, should have written it down. But yeah, so I now have a better idea. So should I get videos of this young chestnut filly, yeah, I will I just feel better knowing that I would have somewhere to keep her. That's not going to do my nutting. The only downside about this yard is that you can't use straw. But you know, it doesn't affect the horse's welfare, so you know, I can just bite the bullet and just put up with shavings beds. But yes, anyway, that is the end of my livery trip. I'm sorry I couldn't show you any footage, but of course, you know, with private livery yards, can't just be going and yeah, filming all over the place. But yeah, hopefully next time I will come back with an update on the horse, because that's the most important thing. And if not, I'm just going to be very well prepped for next year or sometime. But at least I know now. At least I know. So that's one box ticked.